Messed up. Hold on. Hello. Happy Saturday, everyone. It's a weird time. I've never streamed during the day before, so this will be a little different for me. Messed up the intro, missed a button, so can't delete that. It's okay. I don't care. Welcome. My name is Jason, aka Woo Woo J Train. I have a very, very special guest today, a draft that I've been looking forward to since we started talking about doing this together. You may know him from the top of the MLB daily leaderboards. He is our guy, Brad, Brdmc3. Brad, welcome, man. How are you?
Doing good. Everything's doing good. Glad to finally jump on stream and try this all out. It's a little different already, just seeing myself on camera.
yeah. It's kind of a different, thing. Seeing and hearing yourself. It's kind of weird at first, but man, you and I feel like once I really started diving into the best ball streets and got into the Discord and stuff, I feel like you and I hit it off immediately. We have similar senses of humor and stuff, and it's been great to chat with you and get to know you in the Discord and stuff. So this is awesome for me to be able to meet you and have you hop on. So thank you for agreeing to come on with me and hang out for a little bit.
No, yeah, I'm excited to do it. I always have the weird takes I feel like in baseball, so it'll be fun to draft some old pitchers, as you said, and maybe hot sacks or something.
I mean, listen, you're one of the best daily MLB players out there, so when you talk, I usually listen. So I'm always down for a contrarian take or two. Check in on the chat real quick. Our guy Ben, he's grocery shopping at noon on a Saturday. He knows how to party, but his phone's gonna die. What's up, Ben? How you doing, man? Turbotron's here. Crew is here. Crew, you're always here. I really appreciate you. Turbotron, not gonna lie, no idea what to expect Brad to look like. Yeah, it's always like I feel like anytime I kind of interact with somebody like we do through the chat, I always have this image of what this person's going to look like. So it's always nice for me to be able to put a face to a name. I think it makes it more personal and stuff like that. So cool. Let's talk a little bit about dailies, actually. So we're going to hop into a dinger here in a little bit. I want to try to make sure we get into a lobby that's as empty as possible, so as many of you can draft with us as possible. But I think we talked about it a little bit before we went live, but just kind of, what would you attribute a lot of your success to in the daily streets? I think you just kind of maybe view the game a little bit differently than maybe some people do.
Yeah, I played baseball for a long time, mostly on DraftKings until I can't even remember, probably 2019, 2020 is when I kind of moved over here. I feel like that was the year. Maybe it was a little bit later. But I strictly, for dailies, the way I look at it all is I use the bat. I think everybody kind of does know that. I joke and chat all the time about numbers and stuff. And to be quite honest, for best ball, I really don't pay much attention to it. But in dailies, I look at it a lot more. And I just like to kind of look at ownership. And as we were discussing beforehand, I think the biggest thing in dailies that people lose sight of is the guys drafted from 17 to 30 with an ADP, they're just overdrafted a lot of times. The guys that aren't getting drafted every draft, people should be clicking them as often as they're clicking the guys in the 18s, but everybody's scared to draft the fourth hitter for the, let's say Marlins for the day.
Right.
But they're all drafting down to the 8 or 9 hitter for the Dodgers. And so it's just getting different and finding different opportunities, finding different ways to stack it. And then, as always, in everything we do, pitchers don't matter. So just just pass them up, and at the end, maybe you'll play. I don't even know how many slates we play, but out of all the slates you play, I think pitchers matter on 5% of them.
Yeah, I think, and I just kind of being an observer. I'm not really in the daily streets. I'll play here and there, but just being an observer, it seems that pitchers are going to matter a lot more on shorter slates than the 15 game slates or whatever. But I think a big problem that I have sometimes, even when I'm drafting best ball, is trying to not stay tethered to ADP. Like I see that number and I'm like, ooh, like this guy's 8 picks after where he normally goes. Like that doesn't necessarily make him a good pick, but I think baseball is the ultimate, and I'm stealing words from the Bad Bros here, but I feel like it's the ultimate scroll down sport. Like you can build pretty much anything in a baseball daily and like it makes sense. Because stacking is so huge and the MLB daily streets too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the only thing I don't like doing is just not stacking. I don't, stack anybody. Look at line totals, stuff like that. Count up ownership. I like to I always do on a spreadsheet. I'll create all my lines and then for the teams and the totals and stuff for Vegas, and then I also have like an ownership thing, and I'll put however many, the Dodgers have 6 players being drafted in the top 30 because I consider those 6 guys going every single round, every single draft. And so then, I probably drop the Dodgers down for me because I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's baseball. Like anything can happen, so.
Well, yeah. And the Dodgers are the highest scoring team on a 5-game slate, there's 9 other teams and they maybe end up the highest scoring slate like 3 times, it's baseball. Anybody can score 10 runs. You don't know the pitcher can go out in the first inning. So.
Yeah. And talking about doing, best ball drafts, Ross is here. He's going to hop in a dinger. We will let you guys know when we hop into a lobby. Going to wait just a little bit for a current one to close out because it's almost full. So hang out. Travis chiming in, Brad is the GOAT. Only reason I'm here live, though. Much love to Jason. Hey, look, man. I want y'all to show Brad some love. This is his first time doing something like this. And, it's not very often like you get one of the best at something to hop on something. So it's like, I feel honored that you hopped on here with me. Greg, good morning. Matt, can't draft, listen at work. All right, perfect. You love doing your own rankings in baseball, excuse me. Easy to ignore the guys you want to. And if someone's at the top and you're getting them too much, it's easy to adjust. Other sports rankings are harder to use. Yeah, because positional allocation and stacks being more specific. Yeah, baseball is, I'm partial because it's really the only sport that I truly care about. Like I've loved baseball my whole life, and like I'll watch other stuff. Like I'll watch football, and it doesn't hit the same. And just drafting baseball teams, it's just so much fun for me to actually just do the drafts and just build these teams and try to go by what we think is optimal or get different in some ways. Like we're going to talk a little bit about some guys that a lot of people are on that we're fading. We're going to talk about a couple of guys that I love that Brad's fading and vice versa. So there's a lot of ways that you can build these teams, and there aren't many answers that are wrong. It's just, you just got to get enough stuff right to do some damage. Nick doesn't even like watching baseball, but it's the funnest draft to do. Yeah, that makes sense. It actually does make sense. I get that. So best ball. Okay. So you said that, you obviously use, projections to draft best ball teams, but I think you and I are kind of similar. Like we're pretty vibes based drafters too. We see projections, we know what they're telling us. And we kind of pick our spots to say, I don't know that I believe in this guy, or I do believe in this guy. And if we're right, we're right. If we're wrong, we're wrong, but, I think we're very similar in that way.
No, that's exactly how I chuckled because I saw the controversial topic I started, I think, the first night I was back and got the chat going a little bit on that one, which if you notice, I tend to try to do that a lot. So
yeah, you like to get us riled up a little bit.
Hey, it needs to be fun.
It's all construction. And I think that baseball. I think that the differentiation, like the projection systems, are so good. What's up, Billy? And there's so many of them that, and there's very smart people in these drafts that do their own models and stuff like that. Projections are what the projections are, and I think the only real edge is in construction, and then your own player takes and hoping you get enough stuff right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a vibes-based drafter that just typically tries to do opposite of what everybody else is doing. I feel like that's my goal.
Perfect. So, let's see. A good bit. And then Duke, what's up, man? How are you? Welcome in. Duke Dean had one of the highest advance rates last year. The list I was looking at was at least 50 drafts done, I do believe. But Duke kind of smashed. So let's do this real quick. I'm checking to see what current lobby looks like. So hang tight, guys. Don't hop in just yet, okay? I'll give you the go ahead. All right. I got in one. Perfect. We need 8 more. You're in, right, Brad?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sweet. Let me share my screen to pull up our little lobby here. And then as we go along, I'm sure we will hit on certain players that we're targeting. Probably need to shut my door. So give me just 1 second to do that. But we're in the draft. I'll be right back, guys. Hold up. Thought my dog was going to go nuts, so I'm going to get out ahead of that. All right, so now 12. Let's get ready to rumble. Let's do this. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Can you guys see? It's hard for me to tell on my display, but hopefully you guys can see the screen okay. I'll give us one zoom and see if that works. Yeah, that looks good. All right, let's see. Boy, we got a room full of friends. We've got Jim in here. RS Carr is in here. Bryant, Turbo, Crew. Brad, you're at 6. I'm at 8. My guy Bjorn Masterson's in here. Duke. Man, this is not going to be an easy lobby.
It's always fun to draft on stream. I feel like I love to jump in them and watch them just because it's fun, but it's like you're going against people that know the same things you do.
Yeah, and like Crew is pointing out, he's slotted in between me and him. I'm sure we appreciate the compliments, but I don't really like drafting against you, Crew. Like,
yeah,
you know what you're doing. So, or is it Nickbach 23? Which one? What's up, Brad?
Yeah.
All right, so you're in the 6 hole here. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how this goes, but what is your initial thought? Like, are you in on Ellie because he's probably going to be there, or are you going to probably lean more outfielder here?
I mean, if Ellie's there, I'll take him typically. Now, what you and I were talking about earlier, and kind of something I alluded to earlier in the draft, is the way I'm starting to look at this is who I'm taking here is I kind of like jumping to T-Stop. I just think he's I don't know. Just the more I started thinking about things, and I was talking today in chat about like who do you think can score the most points, and Tatis just seems like a kind of a unicorn behind some guys I think he can outdo.
Yeah, I kind of equated it to the 2023 season that Acuna had. Now, Acuna was not, dude, my memory's so bad with ADPs, but I'm pretty sure Acuna was like top 5 in 2023. And he blew the doors off of everyone. And it's that power speed combination that really did it, right? So when I look at the first round and I think who's kind of like the guy that could stand out as like having the Acuna year, Tatis is that guy. Now he's not going to steal 70 bases.
Yeah.
But is 40-40 unrealistic? I don't think so. That's a ceiling, but it's not unrealistic by any stretch. And if he goes 40-40, he's outscoring pretty much everybody ahead of him, except for, probably Witt, Judge, and Ohtani. So I'm there with you. I love Tatis. I've been getting a lot of back half of the draft slots lately. And I've just been forcing him in because I just think he's elite.
Yeah, like I said, he jumped out. I was just, I'm always thinking about things, and I was thinking about this morning, and I was like, I need more of this guy. And unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, this year, unlike last year, I seem to be drafting in the front of the lobby, and I'm never getting Tatis. Whereas last year, I think I never got the first pick, but like twice, or I don't even remember what it was, something ridiculous because New Me was punishing me. But this year, I am, getting earlier picks. So I don't have as much Tatis as I would like, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think last year you dodged the Acuna bullet because you just couldn't get any 101s, right?
Exactly. It was just one of those situations. It was one of those situations where I didn't get him, but think you knew me after all.
Yeah, I had an interesting decision to make, and this was kind of something we were talking about in the Discord this morning. Jarren Duran was there and available for me to take, and I went ahead and went with Vlad. Where are you at on Duran?
I'm kind of with most of the chat, I think, from what I read. It's, I do love my older guys, but he's 28, I think is what I heard. And I remember his hype kind of coming up, and it took a while to get there. I just think you're paying a high price for what you're getting. Did he just have the best season he's going to see? That could be possible. And if he was going a round later, maybe 2 rounds later for sure, I think he's a fine pick. But where he's going, it seems like he's early to me. So.
Something I've said in the past about him is it feels like we're drafting him at his ceiling, and I've seen people counter that with a very good point. Aren't we drafting all the first rounders at their ceiling? Yes, but not all ceilings are created the same, right? Like, I don't think he has as much ability to hit like an 1,800 point season as like a Tatis or a Jordan, just because he doesn't have the power that we want to see to get us to those types of numbers.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that he's consistent enough to be drafted where he is. And somebody like Churio, you're drafting on prospect age, and he had a good year. I mean, I think he can go higher, but Duran, I don't know. I'm just not sure it's going to be a consistent score.
So. Yeah, he's a guy that I'm not like tripping over myself to draft, but he's also a guy that I don't want to fade. So
yeah,
let me check in on the chat real quick. Jim's walking dogs and drafting. I mean, that's a match made in heaven right there. Bryant, there you are. Travis Bryant. What's up, man? Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Billy Jones pointing out here, the top team in last year's tourney was a stream draft. You're goddamn right it was. That was Billy's team. He and I drafted on his channel last year. That team was insane.
Of course you were in the lobby.
I wasn't just in the lobby. I was on the screen with him, helping him draft a team. By helping him draft a team, I mean telling him, hey, Sean Bouchard has the highest WRC plus projector than the Rockies. Dumbass. So bad. Anyway, let's go Teoscar Hernandez here. Like him again in LA. Got a little bit of a discount on him too, which is kind of nice. And you went with Bryce. So you've got a Bryce, Tatis, Merrill start. That feels pretty good. I like that a lot.
I wonder, I know people bumped Merrill up, and this is the first time I've done this, and I'm just looking at it. I wonder how many people have got Tatis Merrill together. Just because if you aren't bumping one of them up, you're not getting it.
Yeah, I have forced it a couple times, but I do also wonder how common that stack is because they don't really align. The Tatis Machado thing is extremely easy to do. Exactly. And I've been actually forcing myself to not do it lately because I feel like I've done it so many times. I need to look at my combinatorial ownership and stuff like that to see if that checks out. But I agree. I think the Tatis Merrill combo is not going to be maybe overly common unless people start going stat crazy and forcing Merrill up. But that Tatis Machado combo is going to be extremely, extremely popular, I think.
That's what I was just looking at. I was like, huh, this is interesting. I had the same problem. Same problem.
Dan, what's up, man? Thank you for popping in. Turbo is pointing out here that Sam Olson has like 40% Tatis, so we are immensely wealthy now. So Numi taking it out on Turbo this year. He's got like 2 Otanis. Well, I have 1 Turbo, and this is my 70th draft. So
Ooh,
get in line, my friend.
I think I got like 10.
Oh God, that just shut up. I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it. Because like part of me is like, I kind of hope I get lucky like you did with like accidentally fading Acuna, but like I don't want Otani to get hurt. Baseball is so much better with him in the game. So, who took Trout? Who took Trout? Who had to ban? Who's getting banned? I'm gonna find you.
He got taken early.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take the kid. Let's do James Wood. I don't like his price at 33, but at 41, like a little bit of a discount, let's get a little funky. Let's build a different team. I don't mind that. Machado. Saw that coming from a mile away. That's the exact correct thing. All right, I gotta find out who's getting banned. Who took Trout? Where are you at? 34.
Max.
Max probably isn't even hitting here, so I have no power. God bless it. This is annoying. Billy doesn't hate the idea of Tatis at 4 because it lines up with Merrill better and a better third-round pick. He said that 5 minutes ago before we talked about that.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Too smart. Nick is preparing the alt. Which one, man? John Lubob has a higher ceiling 4 rounds later. Don't duck. Stand in front of that, John, because I do agree, but there are a lot of variables that have to go right for him to hit that ceiling. Let's just have him get traded to Houston. Can we do that?
I wouldn't mind that.
Dude, their outfield has got to be one of the worst offensive outfields I've seen in recent memory. Like, I couldn't even tell you. So what is it? Dubon, Chas McCormick, and Jake Myers? Is that his name?
They have, and it's kind of interesting actually. Altuve looks like he's going to play left.
Yeah,
and they're moving Dubon to second, and I guess Altuve's defense has just gotten worse, and so they're moving him out there. And then it's Myers and McCormick, and I'm assuming Alvarez will DH, but I think he could play in the outfield some. I don't know who else they have outside of that.
Dude, I don't either, honestly. And like, I don't know that they want Jordan and his busted ass knees lumbering around in the outfield. Like, I wouldn't want that if I were them, because them getting rid of Kyle Tucker, which I really don't understand. Like, if Jordan's not on the field, it's that offense might be in for a little bit of a rough go. But not Yainer Diaz. Yainer Diaz is flawless. He's going to smash. It's going to be okay. All right, you're on the clock here.
This is somebody I'm starting to take, and I don't know if it's good or bad. I can't decide.
Brenton Doyle? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fun. He was a great pick last year. When Billy and I were drafting that team, it was Billy's team. That was the best one in the contest last year. The other player that we had talked about instead of Sean Bouchard was Brenton Doyle. So I would say it's probably one of the biggest regrets of life is clicking Sean Bouchard over Brenton Doyle's name. I think that's just painful. So bad. I'm going to go with Christian Walker here. I've been big on Christian Walker in previous years out in Arizona. He was way too cheap. I feel like his price is pretty efficient right now. But again, I'm concerned about that Houston offense. And like, if they're going to be good, it's going to be driven by him and Jordan. The Crawford boxes, if we like them for Paredes, we've got to like them for Christian Walker, although he's not as much of a dead pull hitter as Paredes is. Walker feels pretty solid in this range if you miss out on an outfielder that you like. What are your thoughts there?
I love Houston. I mean, I honestly avoid them most years because I never like drafting teams that I'm rooting for because then I'm like double mad if they suck. But so I like to draft more like Rangers because I don't want them to do good. And when they do, I at least get something out of it.
Yeah.
But no, this year, I mean, as I've mentioned, I think multiple times, like you just said, that Paredes is I think he's my highest owned player, if not infielder at the moment. And it's just, I don't know. I looked at a spray chart and it seems like easy money to me. But you also get Walker, and nobody ever wants Altuve.
Yeah,
So,
I've had a really hard time getting to Altuve. I think he's a little too expensive right now. I just think that I don't know. I might have concerns about the age finally catching up with him. Spencer Steer is still here at 65. We have concerns with injuries with him, but all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do something that I have not done yet, and I don't really can. Hold on, sorry.
the draft Jose
This is so
Altuve.
hard. You know what? Let's take Steer. Let's take Steer and hope he's healthy. I'm fine with taking him at 65. I was going to take Dylan Cruz to stack with James Wood, but I just don't know that I believe in this Washington offense. I really don't know what to do with them, honestly. Are you targeting those guys at all?
I've drafted Wood, I think, like anybody. And when it gets down to it, I have the same thoughts. But I have that same thought, like we were talking about beforehand, with Oakland. I mean, I get just as nervous when I'm clicking these Oakland names, and I know people in here love Oakland, and we talked about that field change, which I kind of forget about a lot of times. It's just hard for me to pick those names late, like Luis Garcia or Soderstrom or Langeliers or whichever ones you're clicking at the end. I just feel gross when I touch them.
Yeah, and I think too that like something we talked about a little bit was with knowing that stacking is a net positive, right? If you're going to invest that draft capital to get Rooker and Butler together, right? Those very common stack partners. You're going to want to backfill that with additional A's, and it's going to be Langeliers, maybe some Geloff. It's going to be Soderstrom. A lot of those teams are going to look the same, which is not necessarily a bad thing in baseball. But we're really putting a lot of stock into a park factor that we know nothing about. It's reasonable to assume that it's going to be a better place to hit than Oakland, because Oakland sucked and Sacramento was very, very hot and very, very dry. And it's also a minor league park. So I think that's a safe assumption to make, but like, how much of a boost is it going to give them? Enough to scare me into not drafting any Rooker. Like, I'm trying to force him in, and I am getting a little bit of Lawrence Butler, but this Lawrence Butler thing is kind of giving me Nolan Jones vibes from last year. I don't necessarily know that that's fair, but it just, I don't know, it just kind of has the same feeling as the Nolan Jones hype from last year.
Yeah, I see that myself, and I think often we try to compare people to people, and it's probably the wrong thing to do. But yeah, Lawrence Butler gives me those vibes, although I do see the upside as well. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how just these teams like Oakland and Washington come around, honestly.
Yeah. I think that on this pick here, I could stack Altuve with Walker, but again, I don't feel like I need an infielder here. I've got Vlad, I've got Walker. I feel pretty good about where I'm at infield. Going to take a little bit of a discount here on Chris Sale. His injury history, I think, is a little bit inflated to a point, because it's never really been arm stuff. Like, he had a knee or a hamstring thing, and he had like a slight back thing. As long as his arm is okay, I'm good with it. But I mean, we're getting the guy who won the Cy Young last year in the 70s, right? And there are definitely concerns about the mileage on his arm and his delivery and all that. But I'm willing to take a shot on Chris Sale every once in a while, especially in this format where upside is king. So I just felt like he was probably the right play there. Are you getting much Chris Sale? Are you in on him at all?
He was my top owned pitcher, I think, last year.
Just too smart, Brad.
sometimes I get some things wrong when I pick as weird guys as I do, or get some things right, often a lot wrong. But no, I loved him. I'm drafting him this year. I'm not trying to get 30%. But I see the upside. Like you said, he's a Cy Young winner. He has the talent. He can do it again. I don't see any reason not to. But I'm approaching that more like the guys I'm looking at for that is DeGrom this year.
Okay.
It's been a while. I understand he's getting old, but he's. I don't know. I just find people like Sale, these older guys, Verlander, Morton. They find ways to exist longer, I guess. These elite pitchers, and they rejuvenate themselves in some way because they're smart.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, talent is talent. And you just got to keep, I just try to think of this game purely in terms of upside and spike weeks. Like I have enjoyed advancing a good number of teams the last couple of years. Like it's great. Right. But not getting to a final ever is starting to weigh on my mental health. And I think I just need to keep viewing this in terms of like, I just want to target for the most part, spiky guys and just hope as a whole portfolio, I get enough right to get a lot of teams to the playoffs. And one of those teams just has the right spikes when I need them. That's kind of my line of thinking. I really need to catch up on chat here. I appreciate you guys coming in and I want to acknowledge you when you guys are participating. So Nick's got 9%, Otani, lucky duck. Duke is also out walking and drafting, probably done 70% of my drafts on foot. So he's good at drafting and fit. Love it. Matt, you did not hear your name yet, but you will when we talk about Robbie Ray. I will tell you to turn the pressure washer off when we get to that portion of the festivities. Mariners legend Benjamin Gamble. Yeah. We were talking about a platoon with Ben Gamble. I think that was during our Houston portion of the conversation. No, Bo Sox. Christian Walker is his number 2 so far. Let's see. I don't think Brad likes your Oakland take. I think that's Lawrence is better. That's the difference when answering what's the difference between Woods and Lawrence. I don't know, Ben. I don't know, man. We're gonna see. I'm on the clock here. I got to do something. Who do I have on my team? Dude, streaming and drafting is just a different animal.
It's a lot harder. I'm having a tough time.
So much harder. I don't know what the hell is going on half the time. Well, let's do. Is Tyler O'Neill hurt? What's this note say? He's sick. All right, we're good. We're drafting Tyler O'Neill. I don't care if he has the flu. Get over it. Lift more. Get stronger.
Yeah.
We have gone 9 rounds without talking about anyone's biceps yet. So I just drafted Tyler O'Neill, who has like 2% body fat. I really like his chances in Baltimore. Like that lineup is awesome. And they're moving that left field wall in a little bit. His problem, obviously, I think we all know, has just been staying on the field. But picking a Tyler O'Neill in the low 100s in that offense, like if he stays healthy, he feels pretty nice there. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. I think it's not even that I don't like Baltimore. It's just that everybody drafts them and they're very draftable. And it's just a combination of the same guys going over and over again. And to me, I know they're not as expensive, but it reeks of like Atlanta last year. Okay. And just kind of falling off. I've actually started to open up to it more. My problem is I never get Gunnar Henderson because Numi's blessed me and I just get top 3 picks. So it's like I was off of it. And now I'm like, okay, well, maybe I do need, like you said, O'Neill. So I've started to take O'Neill, even Holiday. Like I've started taking like the later stack, I guess.
Okay.
Instead of just doing the early. And maybe that's popular, maybe it's not, but I'm missing out on Henderson all the time. So I think I have 1 share.
Well, and depending on what's wrong with him, like he felt lower right side tightness, which
Yeah.
to me usually screams oblique. And we've already seen enough oblique things for one spring training with Wyatt and Sean Manaea and all this, but I haven't really seen him fall. Like he went 10th in this draft, which is not uncommon. If word comes out that he's got like a little oblique thing, he might drop temporarily, and you might be able, since you only get 1, 2, 3 picks, you might be able to pair him with like a Judge or a Soto if people freak out.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's what is B-Shot? Don't put that evil on Larry.
Yeah, comparing him to Nolan Jones. Yeah, I knew I was going to get some people riled up with that. I don't have any statistical reason to say that. It's just, Brad and I, we're vibes-based drafters a lot of the time, and it just feels like the Nolan Jones thing all over again. That being said, I'm not going to fade completely Lawrence Butler like I was initially planning, but I don't think I'm going to be even with the field on him. I think I'm just going to kind of stay away. Matt has been trying to convince himself DeGrom is this year's sale. I mean, there's worse people to pick for that comparison. And then, oh my God, Matt, just be happy you didn't get Monday morning stat corrected out of a final. Had me on tilt for a week. I commend you for only being on tilt for a week, because I might have been like just beside myself for a month. Like, just, oh my God, that's brutal. I don't think Gunnar falls that far if it's an official oblique, but definitely live for GMs. Yeah, people, I think people do like to overreact a little bit to injury news in some drafts. It just depends on the room that you're in, like if he's got an oblique thing and he's going to miss, most of spring training or whatever, like I could see the right room not drafting him until mid to late second round, because people just freak out. And at that point, you just have to say, F the injury risk. I'm just going to draft him and see what happens.
So on this one, I am doing something we talked about earlier.
Okay. There you go.
I'm drafting Mr. Kerry Bonds, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I mentioned I was looking up my stuff. I have one share of Kerry, like 45 drafts in, and I wasn't touching Meadows. And now that this news came out on Meadows, I'm like, why wasn't I drafting Bonds beforehand if I wasn't even touching Meadows in the first place? Because, I mean, I think the obvious thing is he platooning? I mean, it is what it is. We all know he can hit bombs. He's, can he improve his left-hander? I think somebody said that he was actually pretty good in AAA against left-handers. I thought I read that in chat. I kind of glossed over it. But just with that, and then like I mentioned earlier, I think Verlaine's got some issues going on too. So it's like you got Winsell Perez, you got Justin Malloy, you got Green, and you got Meadows, and then it just looks like it could be some shaky, healthy stuff going on. So I'm thinking he may get more of an opportunity than I originally thought. But he could be Matt Wallner too from last year.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with Kerry Bonds, because I mean, we've seen he hits righties about as well as anybody in baseball. So even if he is platoon, he's strong side, but it's a little hard to pay like a 120, 130 ADP for a platoon guy. I was going to search for a player's name in here, and I am completely blanking on who that is. Maybe it was Parker Meadows. Oh yeah, I was going to look at my exposures. Duh. We'll look at that later. But I was kind of like even-ish with the field on Parker Meadows for a while. And then I watched the outfield breakdown episode from the Stacking Dingers crew. And if you're in here and you're not subscribed to the Stacking Dingers YouTube channel, you need to go do that. Also, subscribe to the Badge Bros, become a member. It's only $5. You get access to paywall streams. So the Stacking Dingers guys talked about Parker Meadows very, very favorably. And so I started getting in on them. And I believe that was one of the ones that Spencer joined them on. And it was kind of eye-opening. I just feel like Parker Meadows is the guy who's probably going to play every day. And I just have concerns about them platooning Carpenter, even though he might be their best pure hitter on the team.
Yeah. And the other concern with them, like we mentioned, is AJ Hinch. I mean, we saw in the playoffs, he's kind of a smart, he has zero issues with pinch hitting. It's almost like the Twins.
Yeah. Well, and to Matt's point here, he likes betting that a team will try and play their best hitter every day, even if he's under average against lefties. Carey could provide lineup leverage hitting like seventh. I think Brad and I completely and totally agree with you. The only problem is, sounds like we don't know that AJ Hinch agrees with us. So I would like them to give Carey, just play him every day. Like let's get at least half of a season under our belt to see if he can actually hit lefties. And if he can't, he can't. But I feel like I'm so worried about them platooning him unnecessarily. Like he is a great hitter. Just let him go.
Oh yeah, you got some comments coming in on Kerry Bonds. That was a nice topic to get going.
Yeah, 900 OPS versus lefties in 2022 in the minors for him. That sounds good. Bond's highest hitter, 25%. He hit lefties great in minors. I think best ball, you just want guys who crush the ball. I agree. I completely agree. Comparing him to Jameson Williams, like a home run type guy. I'm not a football guy, but I totally understand that comparison. So, I had somebody, comment on Twitter, a couple things they wanted us to touch on. Who are some of your highest exposures right now, if you're willing to share that?
Yeah, I'm about to come up, so I gotta switch and look. Give me just a second.
While you're doing that, I will pull mine up. I'll leave the draft up, so I'll just pull my exposures up on my phone. They haven't really changed since the last time I shared them on stream. Pitchers, Brandon Woodruff right now, and this is across all of the current regular season drafts. So bunt, dinger, and that $5 tournament base hit. Okay, so Brandon Woodruff, I've got 31%. Brendan Fott 28. Gavin Williams 26, and then ready for this? Spencer Strider is my fourth highest at 22% because I ain't scared.
I almost right there just to get the chat going. I almost took Robbie Ray, by the way.
Oh man,
I just thought it would, be perfect for this. But I decided to go with my Houston boy, who I just am going to call Spaghetti, but Spencer Arguetti.
Arguetti.
Yeah, however you say that. But I like your pitchers. I was on Woodruff. I think you and I talked about that the other day. And then, I listened to, I want to say it was Scott White, and he was just talking about his velocity and some things going on there. And I know he's an older guy. Maybe he hasn't gotten up to it, but I've fallen off on him a little bit recently. But the rest of them, I kind of see and understand.
I am going to try to not put too much stock into certain guys' velocities right off the bat. And Woodruff is one of those guys that I could see kind of easing into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Carlos Rodon is a great example from last year. When he started spring training, and he was a guy I was heavy in on, and he was throwing like 92, 93, I was in tears because I was like, it's all over. It's all over. It's bad. And then toward the end of spring training, when he really started getting going, it was like he was sitting 95, 96, sometimes 97. I was like, okay, I'm alive. So I'm hoping that that is the case still moving forward with Woodruff, is that maybe he's starting a little slow, like easing into it, and hopefully he gets up to speed. The bet that I'm making with Woodruff is just that, like he's going to come back and he's going to be what we've seen in the past. If that happens, he is an absolute steal at his current price, but it could go very badly if he doesn't recover from that shoulder thing, Do I still have you? I think I saw you playing with your earbuds, so I wasn't sure if if you're having an issue with them. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make my next pick here. Let's see. We've got a 4-4-5 start. Feels like I probably need an infielder or something. Let's do Jonathan India. He seems kind of fun in Kansas City. Let's do that. All right, Brad, can you hear me? I know I can hear you still. Have a little technical issue, so. I actually forgot to put my earbuds in. Hopefully you guys haven't been getting feedback from my speakers the entire stream. I would assume one of y'all would let me know if that was the case. Let's go ahead and recap my team real quick after Brad makes his pick. Brian Wu. All right. Okay, guys. So we are in the 14th round of this draft. I am out of the 8-hole. I've currently got a 4-5-5 build. Pitcher Chris Sale, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Grayson Rodriguez, and Tanner Bybee. Infield, Vlad Guerrero, Christian Walker, Jackson Holiday, Cal Raleigh, and Jonathan India. And then the outfield is Kyle Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez, James Wood, Spencer Steer, who I don't have hardly any of, but I got a nice little discount on him. And then Tyler O'Neill. So I like how this team is being built so far. I think we're off to a pretty good start. We'll have hopefully Brad will be able to come back in here. I know he's having trouble with his earbuds, so we'll see if he can hop back in here. So for now, it'll just be me hanging out with you guys. Let's see. Rod's got 80% Lars Nootbaar out of 30 plus drafts. That's an extreme position. I do think he's a little too cheap. I have quite a bit of him actually. We were going through exposures. I've got infield Josh Young, Tristan Cassis, Max Muncy, and Carlos Correa with Seager next. Those are my top 5. Outfield, my highest owned outfielder, Mike Trout at 28%. So to recap, Spencer Strider is my 4th highest owned pitcher, and Mike Trout is my highest owned outfielder. And I'm not scared at all about that. Brad, we got you back?
Yeah. It's probably not going to sound as good because I'm on my laptop now, and the AirPods I bought died. So basically, everybody's seeing how much of an old man I am.
Hey, you sound good still. All right. So no worries at all. Absolutely no worries at all. Stuff like that happens. It's all right.
Yeah. Sorry about
that. Nick wants to know, are you in on Spencer Schwellenbach?
I wouldn't say I'm in on him or out of him. I drafted him last night on Nez's stream. I think there's some possible upside there. I mean, I've said this multiple times. All pitchers to me are kind of the same. I don't see a whole lot of difference. I think the thing with him, like Ronaldo Lopez, who I think I took in this draft when I went off, I'm looking for volume. I've said that so many times. And so I'm trying to look at Spencer right now and kind of see what he threw last year. He threw 123. I mean, I guess you're looking at 150 to 160 probably this year. He's looked sharp so far in spring training. So, I mean, he's one of the guys I was talking about one with you earlier, Justin Steele as well. I think that he may break out big time. He may end up being a top 75 pitcher next year.
He is
top 75 player. Sorry.
If you look at the bat, and just sorted by WAR, I believe that Justin Steele is a top 20 pitcher on the bat, or top 25 or something. And like, I was just kind of like out on him. Like, he doesn't really do much for me, but you know, seeing how he's popping on the bat, just from a WAR perspective, and that's not the whole story, right? We need innings, we need strikeouts, we need quality starts, yada yada. But for a guy that's in the top 20 or top 25 in WAR, for me to be at 0 on him feels extremely bad. So I've started working him in a little bit too, because first off, I'm gonna have I'm going to have a lot of pitchers as part of my portfolio. I want to spread out a lot. Matt, Matt is a very, very sharp drafter. He's got 22% steal through 225 drafts. I definitely need to get my exposure up on him. The Schwellenbach thing is really interesting. I feel like people are either extremely in on him or extremely out. I land in the extremely out column, and it doesn't feel very comfortable. I kind of want to see more before getting overly involved with him. And I don't know that fading him is going to kill me at his price, but I really don't know what to do with him. Honestly, I'm kind of flailing and trying to figure out how to handle him.
No, I hear you on that. I don't think he'll kill you. I think Justin Steele can. I really think he has the potential to, like I said, be a top 75 pick next year. Just overall, and some stuff I've heard and listening and different things like that. It's just gotten me a little bit excited about him, I guess. I was going to go over my ownership real quick because I know you were talking about that. I lost everything.
Sure.
Let me pull it up again. Give me 1 second.
Okay. While you're doing that, I drafted Parker Meadows there, like 30 picks behind ADP. I want to go ahead and just like buy the dip once and hope that the news is okay, but I did not feel good making that pick. I just want you all to know that. All right, exposures, go.
Okay. So I started heavily with Taj Bradley. I've recently went off because I heard they're playing at a different park. And he's still my highest own, but he's tied with who Kevin just said, Hunter Brown. He may be my favorite pick of all. I have the guys I have over 20% of right now: Bradley, Hunter Brown, Garrett Cole, and Jacob deGrom. Those are the 4 guys that I'm heavy on. I'm still good with all of them. Bradley's going to continue to drop. The other 3 are going to continue to rise for me at this moment. On the infielders, I tend to wait, so my guys are going to be lower guys, but I have Paredes at number 1. I have a lot of Bryson Stott. That's probably contrarian, probably different. I read some stuff on him that he wasn't healthy last year. And I think he had some shoulder issues, if I remember correctly, which kind of hurt some of his power. But he's got speed. He bats in a great lineup. A quick injury can jump him to hitter 1 or 2 we saw last year on one of those, one of the better lineups, I think, in the league. But he typically is hitting 5 or 6. And, Alec Baum, he can go through streaks where he can drop out of the 4-hitter in a second, so I just like, I guess Stott I bet is contrarian. But like I said, I think there's opportunity there for a guy that I personally think should be going closer to like 150.
Okay.
So I'm taking a lot of him. And then just to throw it out there to get everybody going, I'll just say Nolan Arenado is 3rd on my list, which is probably the worst decision I could ever make. But you know what? I like old people, and it's what I do. So,
look, I've been totally out on Arenado. We don't know where he's going to wind up. If he winds up in Houston, I think we might have something. He hilariously said no to a trade to Houston, and now is like, well, maybe, because I don't want to be in St. Louis. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But yeah, the Bryson Stott thing is very, very interesting. That's a guy that we don't really talk about all that much, but he's going to be hitting in a solid part of a very good lineup. Real quick, I have quite a bit of early draft capital at outfielder, so I don't think that this should be a 7 outfield team, but I don't want to take Luis Gil. So, all right, you know what? I'm running out of time. I'm just going to star Jesus Sanchez. We're going to have a 7 outfield build, even though I don't really need it.
You're like me. I just randomly picked Bryce Hoskins, who I think I have 0 of, and he doesn't stack. I couldn't find, I didn't realize I was out. One last thing on my outfielders, the 4 guys I have over 20. Can you guess number one?
Number one, it's got to be Wyatt, right? There's no way it's not.
It's Wyatt.
Okay.
Wyatt's my number one. People get scared of obliques, but I just look at that guy's muscles and I'm like, nothing's going to stop him. I know you tried to put Taylor Swift up there on that thumbnail with that flex, where she looked like she was a little bit more muscular than him, but we all know the truth. So, no, I just can't stop drafting Wyatt. I think it was easy today, and chat said, and I believe it too. I mean, Wyatt does have the potential, maybe not this year, but in a year or two to be the top scoring player. He's got the speed, he's got the power, he's got everything hidden in a good lineup. Yes, the oblique is, I guess I should be more scared than I am, but if this was the day before the season, I would be, but
right.
We're 5 or 6, we're, I guess, 4 weeks out at this point. I'm still okay with it. 2 non-controversial guys, I think. Jackson Merrill, obviously. One guy I love, and it's probably bad. I think you may not even be drafting him, is Cody Bellinger. I have a lot of Bellinger. And then the last guy is probably my breakout for this year, and it's due to the redeveloped swing, and still, shockingly, I think he's only 22 years old. Jordan Walker. He's the only righty in that outfield. I don't see how they don't just play him. And something as simple as Arenado moving, I could see him batting 3 or 4 all year. Now, what does that mean on there? I don't know. It's probably the same thing as batting 3 or 4 on the White Sox. So it may not mean much. Oh, I'm up, and I have no clue what I need. This drafting and streaming is hard.
It's hard, man. It's difficult. And I feel like, I don't know if Bjorn is in the stream, but I feel like he just took Gavin Williams purely out of spite because I starred him. Even if he's not here, I'm going to blame him for that. I went with Brandon Lau there because he totally ruined my plan there. But Brandon Lau is a guy that I've been in on literally every year I've played best ball. And it has gone extremely not great for me. So I figured 3rd time's a charm, let's hope he can actually stay healthy. From what we're hearing so far. Yeah. All right, Bjorn. I don't know if I trust that, but okay. That ballpark sounds like it's minor league Yankee Stadium. So meaning it should play really well to left-handed power. That is what I'm hearing. That is, I haven't looked into that myself. It's just smart people have said that. So if he can stay healthy, I really, really like Brandon Lau's spike potential, because if he gets 500 at bats, 550 at bats, he could be leading all second basemen in home runs. And I know we don't care about position in this game necessarily, but the point is he's got 35 home run upside.
Oh, yeah.
So
he does.
So I've been pretty in on him. While you were gone, I think I covered a little bit of my exposures, but just to kind of go over them again. Pitcher top 5. Woodruff, Fott. Click the right button. Woodruff, Fott, Gavin Williams, Spencer Strider, Grayson Rodriguez, and I've got Taj at 19%, 6th. Infield is Josh Young. Really hoping for a bounce back season out of him. If he stays healthy, he feels like a smash to me. Tristan Cassis, Max Muncy, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Brandon Lau. And then outfield, you know who my number 1 is, right? Come on. You got to know.
Brdmc3?
No. Okay. You know what? It's been fun, Brad. We'll never do this again. Thank you for coming. No, it's Mike Trout, who plays much less than Benintendi. Trout, Josh Lowe, Christian Yelich, Lars Nootbaar, Fernando Tatis. I have at 23% right now. That feels pretty nice. So those are my exposures. Another request I had was for us to talk about guys we're afraid of fading or not having enough of. Is there a guy that you feel like you're kind of maybe not even necessarily going out of your way to fade, but you don't have much of them and you don't feel great about it?
It's probably more than I can count. I'm just looking at the top of the list right now. I mean, I think I have, and a lot of this is placement on these two, but Henderson and Alvarez, I may have one share of each. Also, because at this point, I think I'm just going to start taking Tatis all the time.
Okay.
I don't see any reason to do anything different. And then somebody like Duran, I don't have any of. Another big fade I'm doing, maybe it's not big, but I just don't like his since the end of last year. And what I've heard this, I guess, off season is Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
It's just sketchy to me. He probably figures it out and everything's fine. Devers, I fade. I mean, probably just all of Baltimore too. I mean, there's just
Okay.
I don't know. There's ways I go at it. I know it's all uncomfortable. The Baltimore thing is very uncomfortable, but like the way I'm drafting and the way I'm looking at it at the moment, at least, I don't see myself getting into a ton of those guys, unless if I just do the late stacks. That's it. So.
Yeah, I feel like you do have to kind of take some uncomfortable stands, really, to differentiate, right? And that's, you said at the very beginning of the stream, that's like part of your thing, especially with dailies, is you try to differentiate. We talked a little bit before the show about these late outfielders. Like, as much as I can't stand Andrew Benintendi and won't draft him, like, truly, how much different is Andrew Benintendi from like Lars Nootbaar, right? They're both going to play every single day. Benintendi is always out there. Hilariously, I say that he just got his wrist fractured, but he's always out there. Nootbaar has injury issues. Everyone's drafting Nootbaar. No one's drafting Benintendi. Is it smart to take a little Benintendi every once in a while? I'll never do it, but just strictly from like a game theory perspective, like I could totally see the merit.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I am looking at it, I guess. By the way, I took Chris Bryant just so everybody could laugh at me. I just wanted to say that I am willing to do things like that. So,
well, and I mean, you got a little stack with Jordan Beck here. So
yeah,
one of the other requests I had was to talk about some of our 19th, 20th round targets. So, I mean, in succession here, you've gone insane, and you've gone with Jordan Beck, Chris Bryant, and then Matthew Boyd. Are any of those guys you're targeting regularly, or is this kind of just like a YOLO draft? We're drafting on stream, names, so you click button.
I think when it comes to me and 1920 guys, like once I'm passing Jordan Walker, I mean, yeah, Stott, I have a lot of. There's a few guys that I really, really like, but I'm just doing weird shit. I'm drafting. I have teams that have McCormick and Dubon. I have those. I did today. I mentioned it as a joke, sort of, but I did a 4-man White Sox stack at the end with Talkman and Vargas and Vaughn. And I mean that's what we were talking about. It's like, to me, what is the difference in? Did I make a 6-man Colorado stack? Oh God, I should not do this in stream. That's sad.
3, 4. Did you 5? Oh my God, you did. I
didn't even know that I did that, to be quite honest. That's how much I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I just knew I had Colorado plays. So yes, we should probably all block me and be banned from streams from now on. That's bad.
I can't wait for Sheep to see this. And I mean, he's just gonna have his head in his hands like that. Although our guy Billy Jones, I'm sure, is very proud of you. So that's amazing. That's so great.
I will just say this. It is a lot harder than it looks to draft and try to talk at the same time.
It is. It's very difficult. And having, like, this has been, I mean, this is up there for one of the most fun streams I've ever done. And, interacting with each other, doing the draft. And I always try, and I haven't done a great job this time, and I'm sorry, guys. I try to shout out the chat because you guys have, I mean, guys, it's 1 p.m. on a Saturday. There's at least 25 of you here hanging out. And you don't know how much I appreciate you guys coming in and talking baseball. And I want to acknowledge you guys. So it's difficult to do that when, we're chatting, we're trying to do the draft and then managing the chat. So I'm trying to get better, guys. But yeah, you do a stream and You wind up drafting some weird ass teams because you look up and you've got 12 seconds left and Bjorn Masterson's taking Gavin Williams before you can, and you're like, all right, I guess I'll take this guy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I got a 6-man Colorado stack with a one-off Rice Hoskins. I don't think I'm winning this draft.
Anything is possible because it's baseball. So let's do a review of the draft of our teams. So this was my 70th draft. How many have you done so far?
I think that was number. Let me look. I want to say it was number 50.
Perfect.
I think I drafted some last night. So yeah, it was 50 for me.
You're on good pace here. Matt accidentally did a 5-man Colorado stack and a frozen rope slow, so he can relate to donating to the rake with you. Brad lives on the edge. Let's see.
I saw. Oh, not to interrupt you, but there was a comment. Go ahead right here.
So Duke, last year he had an excellent advance rate success running 8+ pitchers, and they were later picks. This year I'm trying better pitchers, hoping to get my average pitching score up to 70 points. Okay, let's talk about builds real quick before we do dives into teams. Okay, so I think 866 builds are so fun to do, but they have to be done correctly. Like if you're going to do 866, if you're going to roll with just 12 bats, out of which you're going to have to use 7 scores every single week, I think you really have to front load those bats. Like your first 10, 11 rounds should be bats only. And then you can start loading up on pitchers later. It sounds like that's kind of what Duke was doing last year. And I think that's the right way to build 866 teams. I like the pivot though, because last year pitching was way more expensive than it is. I mean, it's kind of relative, but like we were spending a first round pick on 2 pitchers last year with Cole and Strider. And
not to interrupt, y'all were. I was not.
Correct. I wasn't really either, but the field was spending a first round pick and some seconds and thirds on pitchers. And, Skeens goes in the second, usually Screwball in the third, but pitching cost has decreased substantially across the board. So you can do what Duke is doing here now. You can get 5 bats into your lineup that you feel really, really good about and be like, all right, I'm just going to double tap some aces here. Hope I get those right. Get some bats, fill in the pitching later. So the strategy's changed a little bit, like more quote zero pitcher. I mean, I don't know what the true definition of that is, but you can survive taking pitchers a little bit later now because you're not missing out on these total ace arms in the first and second rounds.
No, yeah. I think I say it too often. I just hate pitchers. So it's hard for me to draft 8 of them. But I get it. I think I did it a couple times last year. I'm stupid. And I think I drafted a lot of like 5 pitchers last year, thinking I found an edge, and that just went horrifically bad. So I'm sticking to 6 and 7 so far. That's the way I've approached it so far. It's all been 6 and 7. I'll probably throw in some 8s, and by the end, I know me, and I'll probably throw in some 5s because that's what I do.
Well, I think last year too, toward the end, I think your last 15 or 20 drafts, you were doing 5 outfield builds, weren't you?
Yeah, I have problems.
The first step is admitting it, Brad. It's okay.
I don't know if I get bored or I just try to outthink analysis and I focus on roster construction and I think I have an edge and then the game starts and I clearly don't. So I should just do what everybody else does. But that's the way I approach it. There was and I don't want to interrupt everything, but there was a comment before when I left. I want to say it was Nick or somebody had made one about, and I can't find it, but about me jumping on stream or something. I can't think of what he said. I just wanted to find it. I'm trying to find it right now, but I think if I remember right,
here you go.
He was just asking me if I was going to do that more. I mean, all I was going to say is I imagine I will. It's something I hadn't really ever thought about doing it before. I enjoyed doing this. It was a lot of fun to me. It's hard as hell to draft though. So I didn't realize how hard that was going to be.
Dude, I don't know how the Badge Bros do it, man. Like they do it
I,
every day and they do daily contests and like
I
I
don't
do
see how.
one best ball draft and my brain is dead
Yeah,
after. Like I
I
don't understand it, but um you know, we'll let's recap the teams real quick. I'll give my thoughts on this stream and you know, I don't want to. We had basically a full lobby of fellow drafters. You know, if you're clamoring for us to take a look at your team, let me know. But you know, I don't want to waste 20 minutes of your guys' time looking at every single team. So let's do mine first. So I was in the 8 hole. I went with a 7-6-7 build. I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't know who half the players on this team are. Okay, because I was streaming and I picked some guys. So let's see how this turned out. All right. So Chris Sale, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Grayson Rodriguez, Tanner Bybee, Brandon Woodruff, Yu Darvish, and David Festa. Cool. All right. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Christian Walker, Jackson Holiday, Cal Raleigh, Jonathan India, and Brandon Lau is the infield.
I love India, by the way.
Yeah, he feels pretty good in that Kansas City lineup. I was gonna I almost banned Crew for this, but he took Vinny Pasquantino right before me because I really wanted to get Vinny, and then I kind of had India in the back of my mind as a pick later, and I wanted to stack those two. But I don't mind unstacked India at all. And then the outfield, Kyle Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez, James Wood at a nice little discount, Spencer Steer at a big discount, Tyler O'Neill, Parker Meadows, and then Jesus Sanchez. So I actually really like this team. There is a grand total of 0 stacking in this. So that's probably bad. But, you know, sometimes you just play the best plays, right? And things work out. That's kind of what I'm hoping for here.
I don't know if they're the best plays, but
yeah,
you pick some players.
I did. I clicked 20 names. That's what I did. So
I mean, if you go to mine, it's going to be worse, I think, because like I said, I lost track.
Here it is. So you were in the 6 hole, 7-6-7 build for you two. Pitching staff: Pablo Lopez, Jacob DeGrom, Bailey Ober, Spencer Arrighetti, Brian Wu, Christopher Sanchez, and Matthew Boyd. Infield: Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Ezekiel Tovar, Michael Tolia, Ryan McMahon, Reese Hoskins, and then the outfield: Tatis, Merrill, Brenton Doyle, Nick Castellanos, Kerry Bonds, Jordan Beck, Chris Bryant. All right. Minus the insane 6-man Rocky stack. How you feeling?
Not great. I didn't, the whole Rice Hoskins things, that was panic. And the 6-man was, I seriously thought I had like 2 and I was getting to 3. I don't, you know what? It is what it is. It's clicking buttons. It's only $10.
It's only $10. Yep, we say that all the time. It's only $10, guys. You know, it's sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you want it to. Exactly. Sorry if you can hear my dog going nuts. I just got a package dropped off, so if that's happening.
One thing I would say on that team, I know I didn't give any takes on round 19 or 20, but I think if he can pitch, I do think Matthew Boyd has some upside. That's not just me being silly or anything on that pick. I think his numbers when he is healthy have been impressive. But the question is, can he pitch 100 innings? And the answer is most likely probably no. So,
you look at 19th, 20th round pitchers, and there's a lot of guys who are just they're darts or they're. I mean, I drafted Yu Darvish in the 19th round. Like, yeah. I mean, that was kind of like a product of streaming and just kind of clicking a name, but like. You can make a case for Yu Darvish kind of bouncing back and having a pretty solid season, especially pitching in San Diego. I think last year, people may attribute his absence last year to like assuming he got hurt, but he didn't. He was just out for some sort of personal thing. So that's why his innings number just isn't there. He definitely is up there in age, but there feels like worse clicks than Yu Darvish. It could go terribly, but Nestor Cortez could go badly. Bubba Chandler could not pitch for the first 2.5 months of the season now that they've, for some reason, signed Andrew Damn Heaney. Reese Olson feels like if the Tigers were to sign another pitcher, like maybe he or Job are kind of on the outside looking in. They're probably set. But Manaya's hurt. I've never seen Grant Holmes picked, I don't think. Bowden Francis is young. Soriano. Like, all these names are just kind of like throw a dart and see what happens. There's nothing wrong with picking a guy like Matthew Boyd, because do we really trust, Grant Holmes more than Matthew Boyd? Like, I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah. They're all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same. Rocket Sauce is putting it just absolutely perfect here. None of this shit matters. We all take our chances with pitchers and their inevitable injuries. At the end of the day, pick guys who don't get hurt and don't suck. It's that easy,
Yeah.
It's really not that difficult.
Somebody I think said they had like 78% Francis. I don't know if that was Brian that said that, but I guess I need to look into the guy because I keep on hearing him come up. Isn't he like a nerd that like pitches with goggles on or something? Or am I just thinking
sounds right?
Wrong
it feels
guy.
right.
Okay, I need to check into him, but I haven't touched him. Yeah,
this guy Joe Chris, 83% Bowden Francis. Look, I love it, man. I love it when people just take a stand. They're just like, this is my guy. I don't care. My exposures, especially if you are not drafting all that many teams, like if you're going to do 30 teams or whatever, I think it's probably more beneficial to just plant your flag in a guy and say, this is my dude, or maybe a couple guys, and if I get this right, I'm good. Volume drafting, I don't want to be over 30% on any one pitcher if I can avoid it. That's just a magic number I have in my head. We'll see if that plays out. Hitter wise, I do want to find a couple guys to really flag plant, just be like, I have 35% of this guy. And, it might wind up being like a Josh Lowe type or something. But I love it when people take stands like this. Kevin's got 69% Hunter Brown through 110 drafts. Like, I love that. I absolutely love stuff like that.
I love it too. I don't have it in me on a pitcher with the amount of volume I'm going to do because of whoever said the injuries. But yeah, I still love it. I mean, and if you're doing 50 drafts, I think it's a great strategy, honestly.
Absolutely. Ben's got 50% Pavetta. And I think Ben, I hopped on the sheep seats a little bit last night while he was doing an auction draft, and Ben was there at the same time. It was nice to hang out with Ben again. And he was talking about Pavetta a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but I think you really loaded up on him early because he was free. Like, he was a 20th round pick, and he's a little bit more expensive now, but he still feels fine, especially in San Diego.
Nick likes yachts, apparently.
Nick, 25% DeGrom. He does enjoy the yacht. Yes.
Yeah, he's not a ramen guy like that.
I'm not hating. I just don't. I've never seen that pick before, and this is honest to God. Like, this is one of the reasons why I enjoy doing streams and stuff like that, and hanging out in Discord. Like, do I need to be paying attention to Grant Holmes? Is this a guy that I need to look further into to make sure that I'm getting more of?
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the players, and it's like that last line. Like, I don't know who Christian Moore is. I guess I need to figure that one out. And then, who was it? Connor Norby. I've drafted some of him, so I'm like, well, at least somebody else has done it too.
Yeah, I think he goes in a good chunk of drafts that I do. He's always kind of at the end there. It's interesting. Travis, yes. Let's get some Birdsong, my friend. Yeah. Hayden Birdsong is a very, very intriguing name. He seemingly has very, very good strikeout stuff, but if you look at his Baseball Savant page, it's like extremely red in a couple columns, and then when people make contact, it's extremely blue. Like, he gets hit hard. But he's got Verlander there now. Like, Verlander could be a glorified pitching coach for some of these guys. Like, I don't hate the Hayden Birdsong pick, especially if we're just getting silly in this late in this 20th round. Like, do I have more confidence in Hayden Birdsong than I do Matthew Boyd or Eric Fed or David Festa? Not really. Let's just click a name and see what happens.
I mean, as we always say, and I don't want to keep people on for too long, but I'm just looking at what's on the screen. You have 18 through 20, and it's like none of those guys I see killing me. I mean, Gavin Williams I like a lot. But to me, all of those picks are, you can replace them with anybody else down there, and it's all the same thing. Like
For the most part, yeah. Especially when you consider it's just harder for pitchers to separate in general, you know?
Well, and I mean, I'm looking at people like, I mean, I'm the one that did them, but Jordan Beck and Chris Bryant, like we were just talking about, why draft the Cardinals guys when you can pick up those guys, or the Houston outfielders, or if you're crazy, the White Sox outfielders, or, you know, whoever it is. But just, you know, I think too often we get focused on these 180 guys and we pick them too much.
I agree. And, you know, if, like you said, Newt Barr and like Jordan Walker, like these guys are getting drafted in every single draft. Jordan Beck is not getting drafted in every draft. Chris Bryant is not getting drafted in every draft. So if those guys fail massively and these guys happen to work out, you're unique because nobody's really drafting them, especially pairing them together probably. So
nobody's an idiot like me.
So. Rod is convinced that Grant Holmes will be a 160 ADP pick in the second half contest. All right, I'm going to look into him. I'm going to do it. Right, Ben's glad there are 50% starter drafters out there. Felt kind of lonely in the Badge Bros Discord. Yeah, I don't have the cojones to do.
I do not either. I
just can't do it. Because part of this too is like just enjoyment throughout the season. So, you know, if I have 50% Gavin Williams and he gets hurt, like I'm just miserable for the whole year thinking of what could have been with him, you know?
Yeah.
So, all right, last comment I'll highlight, and then I think we're going to go to wrap up here. But Rocket Sauce has done 74 dingers, 50% Pavetta, 53% Chris Sanchez, 48% Gavin Williams. I love it when guys plant flags, man. Just try to reduce the number of things that you have to get right, and it can work out extremely well. We look at like last year, there's a username, it's M. Drynoff. Okay, he had one of the highest advance rates in this contest, and he won everything on DraftKings. I'm not kidding. In the main DraftKings contest, I think he was 1st through 3rd, and then 6th through 10th. Like, unbelievable run. And, you know, I bet he was just like, I'm going to have 80% of this guy, 70% of this guy, and it wound up working out. It can absolutely be a way to differentiate and play in a different exploitative way that's going to be different from me, who's not going to go over 30%. You know, if you get that stuff right, you have a chance to smash. It could go horribly, but if it goes right, you're probably in good shape. So any last thoughts from you on the team you drafted, or just kind of how you're approaching draft season?
No, I mean, obviously, don't do 6-man Colorado stacks. I'm just trying to give people lessons out here of what not to do. But no, I mean, it's fun to get on here and interact with everybody. I really enjoyed this. I know I kind of talk monotone sometimes, so I'm probably pretty boring in ways, but I really enjoyed reading the chat. It is hard to draft. And my only thing to everybody is like, don't be afraid to be different, and don't be afraid to be called an idiot, because I think that happens to me about every single day. So,
well, and at the end of the day, it's only $10. You know,
it's only $10. I mean, times 150, but as
but still, it's only $10 that one time, right?
Exactly.
Brad, I mean it when I say this, man. I have been since we connected about this, I have been looking forward to this all week. And this exceeded every expectation I could have. It has been a thrill to have you on. I know that I'm not the only one who is excited to meet you virtually. I know there's probably people in the chat who, you know, wanted to see and meet you in whatever way that we can. You're a guy that we need to learn from in the daily streets as well. And I really, really appreciate you hopping on. I hope you had a great time. I feel like I'm going to get to the end of whenever I do streaming, and I'm going to look back on this one and I'm going to say, yeah, this was a top fiver. So I really appreciate you coming on. I had an absolute blast with you, man. Thank you so much.
I did too. Thank you for having me. You're a great dude. Nice to meet you, and nice to interact with everybody in the chat. Let's get back to drafting.
Let's do it. Guys, if you can, on your way out, I'm so bad at this, but I don't really care, whatever. If you can, like the video if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, If you want to do more drafts with me and, sometimes others that we'll have on here, throw a sub my way. You can follow me on Twitter at WooWooJTrain. Brad's handle is the same as what you see on the screen there, Brdmc3. You'll find him at the top of the leaderboards in the daily contests. I appreciate every single one of you tuning in live, chatting with us, hanging out with us on a Saturday. And those of you who are watching the VOD after the fact, thank you for taking time out of your day to check it out as well. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Brad, I hope you enjoyed this experience. And I would love to do this again with you if you're up for it. Then we'll, get through this last 27 days before the season starts. A mere 4 weeks away, man.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll do it again. So thank you for having me. It was awesome. Appreciate
All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one, probably sometime next week. Until then, have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you later, guys. Take care.
Bye.